do you wanna be my fan base? Come on, just hit subscribe so you can see what I make every day. So don't you go away. If you do, then I'll just die. I know I'm a beginner, but I don't care. I know what the viewers want. So do you wanna be my fan base? It doesn't have to be a big fan base.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another podcast at CNE. I'm David Caduto, and I'm joined with one of my colleagues, Aaron Lanuza. Say hello, Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And today we are joined with a special guest, and she's an up-and-coming YouTuber, and her name is Madison Brunonailer.
It's Madison.
So, hello, Madison.
Hello. Hello, world.
So, first of all, let me ask you, how long have you been on YouTube?
I've been on YouTube for over 3 years now. And
Okay.
I have over 160 videos.
Oh, wow.
Wow, yeah.
Come out with a new video every single week.
Okay, so you're like trying to do what we're being more successful at what we're doing, at least coming out with a podcast every week. So she's already been in the game quite a long time.
That's
so
a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what made you want to start getting into entertainment and all these things?
Well, I am an actress, and
Okay.
that has always been something that I'm deeply, deeply, deeply passionate about.
Okay.
And starting my YouTube channel was really a way to show all the characters that I can do. I'm really a character actress, and it was really like, okay, I'm going to just show you every single character that I could do and have a fan base then, and they'll all want me when I'm famous.
Yeah.
So it started from there, and then it just kind of grew and became just such a passion, and turned into movie reviews and doing impressions, and it's just been a lot of fun ever since.
So the only reason I know Madison is because I met her a few weeks ago, and she hosts on the local public access channel called The Reel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing the Reel now?
I've been doing The Reel for about 3 months, I think.
And
yeah.
So how did you? Who approached you about it?
Well, I knew Taylor. Who,
Okay.
Taylor Villanueva.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We kind of knew her through a friend of a person of thing, and it's a long story on how we met
Right.
her. But she actually did a piece about me and about my channel, and then through her we got connected up with the station. We're like, hey, I'm pretty close to you, and
Why not try it?
Yeah, I'm really into geeky, nerdy things. And they're like, oh yeah, we have this thing called The Reel that we're not doing anymore, but if you wanted to, you could do that, and talk about the new movies coming up. And I was like, I am so down for that. And then it was just kind of like, okay, I'm going to bring in costumes and wigs. And
Basically, you said you've done impressions, so is that like your mainstay, and that's all you've done? Or, I mean, I've seen some of the videos, and I know you had a chance to look at them today. Mm-hmm. They're funny, they're entertaining, and they're just, I won't say out there, but people smile when they see them, and I think that's what the main thing you're looking for.
Absolutely. I mean, with the state of the world is today, and kind of how everything is kind of in this weird sort of warped, not happiness that's happening. It's like, you know what? I'm going to be that little shining light out there that has some good news for you. I'm going to be something that at the end you're smiling. Mm. And that's why at the end of most of my videos, I'm like, don't forget to keep smiling.
Yeah.
Because keep smiling. It's important. It is super important.
That's the message you want to give off.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What would you say are your best impressions?
Oh, my best impressions. That's really hard because there's like so many that
I know you do a ton of them.
I do a
so
ton. I mean,
we've seen a lot. We've seen a couple of the videos where you're acting and one from the other.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I can quote all of Jack Attack from The Incredibles, the short film.
Yeah.
I just did a recreation of that entire short because I love it so much. So I'm really good at Kari. Mrs. Parr, I can tell you I have everything completely under control. I can handle anything this baby can just shout at me. She's a little boo-boo. Who can handle it? Who can handle it? Mrs. Parr? Mrs. Parr? Oh, well, she knows you're in good hands. Now, who's ready for some neurological stimulation? And that's
that's fantastic. So how long does it, when you do something like that, how long does it take you to prep as far as, you said you can quote all these things, how long does it take you to really prep? Like, if you're going to make like a 5-minute short, for example, on this, how long does it take you to prep?
Well, on something like like Jack Attack. It was something, or my other impression videos. It's something where I'm like, I'm kind of thinking a little ahead in the future, where I have some lists where it's like, okay, I want to do this here, I want to do that there, and I want to do this here. So I'm kind of thinking of it a little in the future. So about 2 weeks to prep for a video, maybe 1 week if it's really a crunch. But it is, for the impressions, it's really researching, finding which lines I want to say, what characters I want to do.
How you want to do the voice.
Exactly, yeah, really researching it some more. For things like my reviews or even a Madi to the Max episode, that can take about a week.
Oh, okay.
From the time I decide to do it to the time that it's uploaded to YouTube, it can take a week.
Okay.
Because...
Yeah.
It takes a lot of research.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
I mean, but for a Madi to the Max episode where I'm writing everything and I'm doing all the characters, it's really about time. It's like, because I'm also doing bajillion other things as well as doing the reel. I'm doing classes and I'm taking all these different things and then meeting with agents and having other shoots to do.
You say the show is called Madi Max?
Madi to the Max.
Madi to the Max?
Yeah, that's where I do all my own original characters. And I have them all, I play them all, and I film it and edit it to make them look like they talk to one another.
Oh,
yeah.
So, that's the episodic web series.
Yeah, so, have you gone to like, I won't say acting school, but have you majored in acting, so you've got schooling in acting then?
Yeah. I've been going to the acting center in Hollywood since I was about 7.
Okay.
And I've studied with some of the biggest names. I've studied with Jim Meskimen, who was on America's Got Talent. He was the star of the Impression Guys. Okay. I've studied with Mary Lou Belli, who just won her second Emmy, or was it her first?
I think
second.
second.
It was her second, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you really, as far as talent, you really know exactly. You work with the best, so that means you can.
Totally.
So how do you choose your material then? I mean, so we've discussed on how long it takes to actually prep an episode. We've discussed how long the voices take and everything else. So how do you choose it? Because let's face it, there's so much material out there. How do you say, this is what I want to do?
Well, sometimes it is just, I want to do this week. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm going to do it this week. But sometimes it'll be like, oh, this new movie's coming out, so I should do something that ties into that because that's going to be all over the place and people are going to be searching that. So I should really have something that ties into this new season of Game of Thrones that's coming out, or this new movie that's coming out. I should do something with that.
How did you get into acting in the first place?
I was always a bit of a drama child. So I was always.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing, especially in college.
I'm assuming.
The what?
You needed an outlet and you wanted to get something, right?
Kind of. I mean, I was always dressing up in costume. From the time I was little, we had a dress-up box. Okay. And I would change my costume, my outfit for the day, like 5, 6, 7 times a day. Because I wasn't satisfied with it. I wanted something else. I wanted something bigger. With I'm pretty sure it's what Lady Gaga did if she had her own dress-up box as a child.
As a child.
It's entirely possible. And so I was always doing silly voices, and I was always making characters. And then it just kind of grew from there. And as you're growing up as a child, you have things where you're like, oh, I want to be a ballerina as a child, or I want to ride a horse when I grow up. I want to have this, and I had the idea that I wanted to own my own cafe at one point.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, that actually takes a lot of work that I don't really want to do.
A lot of work?
I don't want to do
This takes work too.
I
know. It was really interesting. So then I was like, okay, so what do I want to do? What do I like doing? Oh, I'm good at that acting thing. I guess I'll do the acting. And that's when I decided to do acting. And then 5 years or
How
something.
old were you?
I had that decision when I was 12, I think. Maybe 13, possibly a little bit older. And then I started my channel 3 years ago. And I'm 21 now. So that's, let's see, math is not my strong suit.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Since then.
So, and in doing that, I was like, I think it is, you're right, my channel does take a lot of work, but it's something that I'm really actually passionate about.
Exactly, you have to do something that your passion really calls for.
Absolutely, you have to be like, I'm willing to commit enormous amounts of my time to making this each and every week. It has to be that way. Because obviously the idea of running a cafe for my entire life was not as appealing.
Yeah, so, you would rather watch other people run the cafe, but you would rather do something, which is fine. So let me ask you, would you like to own a cafe down the road once you become successful?
That's so funny.
I might consider sponsoring one if I became extremely successful and was like, you want to build that cafe? Great. Here's some money. Make it wonderfully happy. Have people bring their pets or something.
You know, that's why they have these cafe games on the phone. They could just play like you own one, but you don't necessarily have to do the work.
Do they really?
Well, you know, depending on which one you have. So, I mean, but...
sponsorships are really important.
Well, and then that's
the idea,
another thing, too. Have you, speaking of sponsorships, good segue, Aaron, have you been able to get, or are you looking for sponsorships to do your YouTube channel? Would you like that?
I would always love somebody to sponsor me. Absolutely, that would be great. I have had a couple other people sponsor me before. I've done a Coinstar commercial, and I did a commercial for the International Peanut Butter Company, which was really cool. I was like, that's really fun. I got to have my characters play with your product.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is, you know, I mean, so as far as where would you like to see, you've been running this channel now for a few years, where would you like to see it go eventually? I mean, would you like to just continue doing these videos, or would you like to go maybe in a different route?
I would love to continue doing this. What I'd really like is I'd like to have more people come in and play. Like, I'd love to bring other character actors in and really be able to play off of the fact that we all play different characters, or have different people come in and have a good time with it as well. I'd like that.
I've always heard of Vines being some of the greatest places to find people.
Yeah.
But those collaborations in general are something that you might want to consider.
Totally, I would love that. Just like, but finding, because you see all these people online, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to collab with you, and then you try and reach out to them, and there's like no response.
And they don't talk to you.
And you're like,
well, that's the thing. They may have a
fine.
team of like 5 or 6 people, and you've got to go through this person and that person.
Yeah.
And it's red tape, and by the time you're like, okay, I'm done.
But the thing is, some of the times you don't even know that.
Yeah.
It just looks like somebody else that's doing it by themselves. So you think, oh, I'll shoot them an email. But you don't know that it's going to somebody else.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm not
they
going to show
actually
this
have
to this
someone
person.
taking care
No,
of the
and we've both encountered situations with that. You try to set up interviews, and it's just like, okay, red tape.
Hey, sometimes
this
you
isn't
get
gonna
lucky.
work. Yeah. So, but okay, you can work with anybody right now. Let's start with YouTube first. If there was anybody on YouTube that reached out to you and say, I want to do videos with you, or I want to collab with you, without hesitation or question, who is it?
The Hollywood Show.
Okay.
They're 2 sisters that put on some of the most beautiful parodies I have ever seen. They've done the Supernatural parody, they've done Pirates of the Caribbean parody, Hocus Pocus parody. Their parodies are amazing, and I have watched them for years, and they're just so wonderful. I think they're in Vegas or something, so I was like, yes, it wouldn't be that far. I'd totally drive out to Vegas to help you girls. Absolutely.
Yeah. As far as Hollywood, would you ever want to... Okay, so let me ask you a question. Who's your inspiration in Hollywood?
My inspiration
If you have actresses, do you have inspirations as far as actresses?
Yeah, Tatiana Maslany.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, she is the star of Orphan Black, where she plays 14 different characters.
Definitely, this is a show that, if you're not familiar, like she was just saying, it's on the BBC American network, and it's a fascinating show. It's a tale about somebody who gets cloned. And so all of these clones have to then go and interact with all these other people, and of course you have enemies after her and everything else trying to... But it's a fascinating concept, just about morality, about could we clone somebody? So... And
kind of what makes a person human. Is it, nurture or nature?
Exactly.
Because this actress, Tatiana Maslany, she is a phenomenal actress.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because the way that she'll talk about her characters, the way I talk about my characters, how they are completely separate entities that live inside me. Yeah. And I'm like, I understand you. We should talk about how different people live in our heads. Wow. I understand you, girl.
Yeah. So, as far as Hollywood's concerned, is there anybody in Hollywood that just, besides maybe the TV aspect of it, that you really enjoyed maybe watching their movies, or?
Yeah. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Okay.
That man is amazing. Do you know what Hit Record is?
Hit Record? Is that his, is that his station, or?
Yeah, it's his production company it's a collaborative production company, and it's so cool. It's called hitrecord.org, and I could go on for a really long time about what it is, but he is so determined and driven on what he does and what he creates, and just the wonderful things that he puts out there. is like, you are really driven. I got a chance to work with him on his first directing job on Don John.
Okay.
And it was amazing watching him do that, because he was also starring in it.
Right.
So watching him go back and forth from actor to director to actor to director.
And that's one of the hardest things, as far as I know, Clint Eastwood is a perfect example. He's done so many movies in the past. Unforgiven is the first one I can think of off the top of my head, where he's not only playing the actor, but he's directing himself,
Yes.
and it's just like, wow, how does this work? And so, I mean, you're right. And Don John was good. It's actually with I believe Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in such films as The Wire that just came out, and of course the Batman, Dark Knight Rises. So he's an established guy in Hollywood.
He's been around for a really long
and
time.
he's not one of those guys that you really think about
Yeah.
as far as, I won't say he's almost like a James Franco, but he's like a James Franco in the respect that you see Franco and you go, oh. You know of him, but you don't see a lot of him.
No, but he's established enough to be a part of Hollywood.
Exactly.
And what's great is that he's not in the tabloids of like some big scandal every other week. Like what Miley Cyrus is doing is she's made herself scandalous all the time, and that's not something that can really be sustained. Whereas Joe has this image that's so clean and so ethical, and it's like, yeah, of course I want to work with him.
So
he makes good products.
That's a perfect segue. Let me ask you a question. Over the last, I'd say, 10 years, we've had a lot of actresses, singers, and I'm talking about Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Miley Cyrus. Why do you think at a certain age they just, because they were all, the one thing they had in common were child actors and singers, why do you think they have meltdowns?
Several reasons. One, they probably don't have as strong of a family base as they need. Like, they don't have people supporting them and keeping bad people off their lines. Like, I know Demi Lovato talked about how she had some really bad people on her, around her, that were giving her bad advice or making her not feel good. And those people are definitely out there a lot, especially with a lot of stars, that can just make them spiral down the rabbit hole. And that's kind of a lot of where it is. Like, not having somebody around you that can go, no, that person's no good for her, and really truly having the best person at your heart. And that's why I think the parents really are really important. When these stars don't have that kind of strong family base to fall back on, it can go south very fast.
Do you have someone supporting you?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. I mean, if you have the support group around you that she was just mentioning, I think that's one of those things where you can never go wrong, because in tough times, then you can just, that the person you're turning to say, hey, look, and they can be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should elaborate a little bit more on this subject.
Yeah, I mean, I think family...
You were talking about family being really important to people sustaining this like sense of like drive.
So let me ask you a pretty basic question. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do. I have one older brother.
Okay, and is he in the entertainment type of thing, or is he just,
He's actually a skateboarder.
Okay.
And he does know how to
So
work
he's like
a camera.
action, extreme sports type.
Yeah, he's more of the sports person.
Okay. There we go.
Person. But he actually knows how to film and edit because he'd like to...
for the skateboarding.
Yeah, for his skateboarding videos. Yeah, so he did know how to do that. And kind of from him, I was able to pick up some info on how to shoot and edit my own stuff. Yeah.
So that's how long has he been doing his skateboarding?
For about the time he found what a board with wheels was. So pretty young age.
So 8-ish, 9-ish?
Yeah, pretty much. And he always liked going fast, and he always liked the feeling of flying.
Yeah, I mean,
and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that marvels me when I see these people.
I actually skate too, but it's if you lose it for even just a year, you are gone.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's like any sport, though.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Continuously practice it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not, I won't use the analogy, but it's not like riding a bike
No,
where
it's
you
not.
can't just get back on and ride.
But
there's
muscles.
and everything else.
If you're on a camera actually getting filmed doing this, you know you're good. You know that like what tricks you have to show off are good enough to actually impress people.
Totally.
So that must be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. So has he done, so where's, like, what would he... So who was his inspiration? Like Tony Hawk, or do you have any idea?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's basically.
Does he support you?
No.
No. He's not really around then.
Oh, he's living off in his own kind of
Gotcha.
world.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
but
as long as
he's
they
a.
keep-
Whenever I
keep
have
close.
a thing with editing or something earlier on, it was like, how do I do this? He was like, do this and this, and I was like, oh, great, thank you, bye. And so that was for sure helpful, very helpful. My support really comes from my mom, who has always been my number one fan. And is like, you are good. I know you are good. Do not give up on this. Do not stop. You are good.
You need those people. You
Absolutely,
need that drive.
yeah. And it's somebody that's really like, I believe in you 100%, and I know this is what you want, and I will help you to that goal, for sure.
And has it been a struggle? Has it ever been a struggle?
Well, all life is a struggle.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Absolutely.
It's something where
that's well put.
You keep going at it. You keep working at it. It's not something where it's like, I'm gonna sign up for this with this on the agent and I'll be a star.
Yeah, exactly.
You keep working at it.
Some people always have that issue though. They always think, okay, well, I want this goal, but to get there, there could be there's a lot of failure involved.
Yeah, of course there's failure. You fall flat on your face, you get back up and you keep going.
So you've had that happen to
I
you
have
before
for sure had that happen. I have fallen smacked out on my face, and looking back on it, I've been like, do I wish that I hadn't done that? Yes and no. Yes, because it was painful to fall flat on my face. Mm-hmm. But no, because I now know more than I did before. And I now have learned from that experience, and I'm better for it.
I think that adversity defines what kind of character you have. And the more times you face adversity, and the more times you have to deal with adversity, whatever it is, and the more times you come out on the other side of it, that really defines what kind of character you have. And you become a stronger person. You become more driven, more motivated to do it. So do you have like a 5-year goal as far as, do you know, I mean, because you're obviously very young, so do you have like a goal, like in a year I want to have this done, or in 5 years I want to have this done, or? It's
not a year goal, it's more like a lifetime goal, where it's like, that's what I'm aiming for. That's the,
Yeah.
And it's not as anything as specific as, like, in 5 years I want to have $0.25 billion.
Yeah.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's where I'm headed. I'm going to keep going in that direction.
So what's your goal, what's your immediate goal that you want to have? I mean, so we see the light at the end of the tunnel. What's your immediate goal, like tomorrow, not tomorrow, but in the next, so eventually you want to be able to get a talent agency to pick you up?
Yeah, well, I already have a talent agency, yeah.
So they're basically looking for you to do.
Are there any projects that you're looking
I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I actually have a web series that I'm writing that's going to be on my channel, but it's slightly different from the other stuff that's on there, that I'm like, okay, I need to get this done, but I also need to get it all written first before I start kind of reaching out to people and being like, hey, you interested in doing this? I have this thing that I want to do. That's really something that I'm like, I want to have this be done. That is for sure a goal of mine.
Yeah, as a fellow writer, I can definitely say that basically that it's one of those things where you have to, like, I know I'm busy all the time, and I just have not had enough time to write. However, I do have ideas that I want to put down, and it's just putting them down, that's the hardest thing to do, because you're so busy and you're juggling 3 and 4 different things. Mm-hmm. In your case, maybe editing or making a video or whatever else. Marketing. It's like, oh, I can't write.
There's no chance for that creativity to just flow.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's saying, okay, I'm unplugging the internet and I'm going to write for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of have to do that because things are getting distracted.
Has anything, like, I guess in the outside world that's inspired you? What I mean by that is you're out one day and you see something and the light bulb goes on. Oh, I want to write about that?
In the outside world?
Well, what I mean in the outside world is, like, if you're out one day with your mom, for example, and whether you're watching, I know for me personally, I love watching people interact. So, like, I'll be at a Starbucks having my coffee, and I'll see, people talking or customers walk in, and whether it's not make a story up about them or whatever else, but, the light bulb goes on and go, oh, that would be a heck of a story.
Well, something that I actually find is that I will see somebody like walking to a thing, and they'll have this really interesting walk, and I'll be kind of sitting there watching them, trying to like put on their mannerisms and be like, well, why would you walk like this? How would you hold your body like that? That's really interesting. What's their kind of thing?
Wow, that is so interesting. That's a different way of thinking.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love getting, that's like a lot of the times how I get characters is I see like, what are their mannerisms? How do they sit? How do they walk? What kind of shoes do they wear? That's really interesting. And so, kind of like what you're saying, how I will be kind of thinking with that. I'll be like, why do they walk like this? Why do they talk like this? Oh, it's because of blah, blah, blah. And I'll have this whole elaborate story going in my head. And what will happen is I'll have like a piece of paper and I'll jot it down real quick so I don't forget it.
Yeah.
And then I have this huge, long word list on my computer of just little ideas that I've had. And I'm just like, I put that out there and then come back to it later time. And I'm like, I need an idea. Oh, I knew I left that somewhere.
Yeah.
Just need that and I'll work with that.
Yeah, no, I have speaking of the idea, no, I have a writer's book. So if I'm out and about, and I've showed this to you, that basically what I'll do is, if I see something really cool, and I don't have time to jot it down, I will just break out my book and write it down and make an idea up real quick, and then I'll go back to, oh, yeah, I had something.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where that's the hardest thing to do, I think, is not write itself, but come up with the ideas. Mm-hmm. Because everything's been done time and time again. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter about your interpretation of it. And so your interpretation may be different than somebody else's, but it's a good, I won't say a good different, but it's something like
you
that.
You can really like change the idea and
exactly.
work with it.
I mean, we were talking about, I'll give you a perfect example. We were doing a podcast yesterday about comic books. Mm-hmm. And one of the comic books, one of the colleagues mentioned, basically said that how in one of the Batman comic books, everything got flipped upside down. Mm-hmm. So instead of the Joker being the Joker, it was the mother being the Joker and the husband becoming Batman. Yeah. And so they were, it was
just the whole timeline gets turned around. And all because you can play with the timeline because the same company owns that area. Yeah, they can just mess with it in comics.
Exactly. And so it was, but it was fun. Yeah. And I think that's the important thing.
I love that. I love taking ideas and kind of putting a new and interesting twist on them. That's always fun because it's like, here's the story that everybody knows. Let's throw zombies into the mix. Yeah. Or let's have everybody, turn purple because we can. Yeah. Let's do interesting stuff like that. And I really love that. I love the way that we can do that kind of in the fandom.
The creative process.
Yeah. And I know it's going to sound weird, but like the fanfic of every fandom, how they're allowed to kind of take this stuff and kind of put a new twist on it, put their own story ideas on it, and I really, really love that. And the fandoms in general are just so much fun.
Well, I think, at least in the last 10 to 15 years, you've seen that with comic books. Mm-hmm. In all the movies and everything else. I mean, these comic book companies like DC now and Marvel before, and even now, they are twisting, they're making movies, but they're twisting them, giving them little tweaks here and there, and that's what's saying, oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, and also the fact that the fans are now being allowed, they're getting old enough and have enough influence that they can actually make the movies themselves. Like Ryan Reynolds is a huge Deadpool fan, and he's finally been allowed to make the movies he's always wanted.
And for those that, speaking, thank you for mentioning that, because
it's one of his favorites.
About 3 weeks ago, we did a Deadpool review on CNE.com. And so, by the way, you can catch all of our podcasts, including this one, on Facebook.com/CNE. And so Ryan Reynolds did do Deadpool. And for those that have seen it, there's a very, very funny scene where he's being wheeled on a gurney. Mm-hmm. And he basically says to the villain, whatever you do, please don't put me in a green suit. Of course, he's referring to his 2011 Bond with Green Lantern. But it's funny because throughout the whole movie, he basically makes fun of himself.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So, not only is it well written, but he's getting a good laugh out of it. Yeah. He's able to redeem himself in that respect.
And I think what's so funny about that is that the plot is so it's not the most original plot ever. It's
Yeah.
the guy gets transformed. He wants to save
Yeah.
the girl. It's
But
it's
it's so
the basic
simple.
plot. Yeah, it's a very simple plot. But what makes it work is the fact that the writing and the jokes, and he's just so dang in character as the Deadpool that we all know and love.
Yeah,
Well-
he fits it
Perfect.
perfectly.
He
Well,
really does.
I think the fact that, and I've said this before, I think that Marvel had some street cred with the fact that they were able to release a rated R movie
Yes.
without, because if this had been a PG-13 movie, it's like, oh, well, I mean, I don't even know the number of F-bombs he dropped, but it was quite a few. So, but, okay.
But the fact that it did so good now is going to be like, ooh, we can make rated R movies.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Well, as a matter of fact, I'll plug this now, but we're going to talk about this next week. Captain America just came out with a new Civil War trailer.
Ooh, no spoilers.
Yeah, and for those that have not seen it, go to YouTube and basically watch it. I've seen it now 3 times, and I'm eagerly looking forward to this. And trust me, we'll be doing a preview of this. So, and
Me too.
yeah, so okie dokie. I
Yeah.
don't know. Is there anything else? So I guess one last thing is, what do you have coming up? We know we have Maddie and Max episodes coming up. We know we have. Is there anything that you can give us, like a little tidbit, and be like, this is coming up, or just look forward to more episodes?
Well, I actually have a movie that I'm in that's being released in April later on.
Fabulous!
Yeah.
What is the name of this?
It's called The Three Little Pigs and the Magic Lamp.
Outstanding.
I do voiceover in it. I love doing voiceover. It's one of the things that doing impression videos has actually allowed me to do, because it's allowed people to go, oh, she has range, wonderful.
Yeah.
But in Three Little Pigs and the Magic Lamp,
I play Bobby. He's one of the little piggies. It's a lot of fun.
so that is coming to Redbox in April. Be sure to look for it.
Fabulous. Okie dokie. All right. I want to thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
It's a
thank you
pleasure
so much for
meeting
having
you.
me.
And, stay tuned. We will have this up on Friday, and look forward to more reviews and everything else on CNE.
Yeah, and from
All
now
right.
until next time, don't
Yep.
you forget to keep smiling.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
Do you wanna be my fan base? Come on, just hit subscribe so you can see what I make every day. So don't you go away. If you do, then I'll just die. I know I'm a beginner, but I don't care. I know what the viewers want. So do you wanna be my fan base? It doesn't have to be a big fan base.